All right, ladies, we're ready to come back. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, ding, 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 ding. There's a bell right here. Thank you for coming back. So how was that experience? Got to know yourself and seen how many areas of your life you are simultaneously working with, right? Okay. Now some of us shared that we are already running our own business. So knowing your strengths and building it with some passion got you to create a business, right? So that's a great thing. You moved on with your own strengths. What about the next stage? Have you heard of this another quote which says, begin with the end in mind? So we are always programmed to look at what is it that we need to do? What are some of the things we need to achieve? What are some of the things that we need to do to please our mother-in-laws or our kids, and you just name it, right? So these are things which are happening around us all the time. Now what if we were to actually flip it around and look at ourselves as the most important element in this whole equation? I heard a term this afternoon which was about smile. S-M-I-L-E. And interestingly, the person said, even you won't be able to smile without the I in it. So when you are actually doing things for others, where are you in it? Yes, Rebecca, you got something? So have you been able to identify with that one thing that you can do? So let me share with you, on my journey as an executive with the World Bank, on a diplomatic status, I was traveling, I was running an organization and the whole works of things. 25 years ago when I moved here to Singapore, I got into the opportunity to look at organizations as a management consultant and help them to become profitable. I did that for a while. I also dabbled a bit with executive search. And finally, somebody asked me what do I do about few things, and I gave them some ideas, and I realized I was actually on the path of coaching. So I made it my effort to go and look for a proper coach training school from where I could get a certification and learn the game of people development through coaching. And it wasn't easy because 2002 was the year when a number of, there were no coach training schools in Asia. So I had to go overseas, and one course after the other was my thirst to become a coach was getting fueled on a daily basis. I don't know if you have been through this stage where you become a seminar junkie. I own that term. I was a seminar junkie, and there wasn't a book that was referred to me that I didn't go and get until the time my husband said, we have these 2 bookshelves which are full. You get another book, it will go onto your bed. Then came a time where I was sitting one day and I was sharing with my elder daughter that there's this new speaker coming to town, and I'm trying to see how I could go and attend this. And she said one little thing to me and said, Mom, with all the courses that you've done, maybe you can teach something to this person, right? And I know she was saying it with lots of love and care, but it really shifted my perspective. I started looking at it and saying, yeah, she makes a lot of sense. With the experience I have, with the knowledge I have, with all the courses that I have attended, am I still looking to go out and learn how to be a coach? And that was my big aha moment, and I wrote on a big screen, I am a coach. I took on that identity that I am a coach. And the journey became very interesting because no longer I had this need to learn or do or perform or do something for an external factor. Every decision and movement that I had was coming from within. So if I'm a coach, I was determining what's the quality of questions that I will ask. For those who are, you're all familiar with the world of coaching, you know that in the coaching relationship, how a coaching presence is created. As a coach, how is it that an individual needs to work on working on managing their business, managing the clients, managing the expectations. So my world completely changed where I started doing things which I fixed and I determined and I created, I designed whatever I was wanting to do, because now it was very much easier for me to go out and get it, because there was success that I defined. There was progress, or if people said, oh, but that's not what it is and all, it didn't even matter. It didn't matter. Because, you know, if you see the lotus plant, it's in the pond of a lot of mud. And anyone who puts their foot into the mud, you know what happens? But the lotus flower actually does not even have a speck of dust on it, because it's made in such a way naturally that the mud will not sit on it. And so I started becoming that lotus within me. And it was so inspiring and motivational for me that I said, okay, so I have to do more of this and reach out to more people and help them elevate the leader inside them. Somebody who's sitting inside of you, wanting to come out and wanting to really make a whole world their own space. Because the I in the smile will come when the I is taken care of. So when I started then going into organizations or looking for opportunities, there was a lot of changes that also happened, right? So when you know what you want, you know what you want to get out of things, but environment is not in your hand. The way you react to the environment is in your hand, but things around you can have a major impact. So how many of you have had a sales call where you were so well prepared, you wore the right outfit, you had the right pitch in your hand, and you knew that I'm going to go out and get this sale done today. But then you go there and you realize that there was some emergency and the team is not willing or ready to meet you. What happens then? A number of us feel disappointed, right? There's something in us which makes us feel, I may not be good enough, or there must be something, you know, that kind of conversation, like whatever programming that you have starts taking shape. But here's what I would do now. So this is part of nature, right? So things like this can happen. What is it that I could learn from this? How could I look at this as not a failure, but how could I build on this experience and take it to the next level? And so instead of going to an organization, I would make a call and make sure that I reconfirm the appointment. And I would make sure that if the person is, for some reason, needs to travel or something, there is somebody else. So that's just a simple example, but imagine all the things that are happening. Now this is something that I have not shared on a platform with most people, but in 2002, I was sitting in the National Skin Center. I needed to see the doctor for some skin allergies that had come up, and it was just taking time for me to get the appointment. I would reach there on time, and yet I had to wait. So when I inquired what's happening, I was told that the people who were before your appointment got late. So as a result, you got to wait for your turn. And sitting there, I just made a suggestion, and somehow this suggestion was picked up, and it was tried out in the hospital, Alexandra Hospital. My suggestion was to give telephone reminders to your patients. And they implemented it, as a result of which the doctor's time was utilized. As a result of it, the organization saved so many man hours. And as I think about it, my goodness, I should have looked at it differently in those days, because today any service that you have has a reminder service. And so I turned the opportunity of waiting into something which is now, I think, a global phenomenon. It makes me feel that there are many of us have many ideas which can actually come out, but they're sitting somewhere waiting for you, because you would. The programming that we have does not permit us to go out. Sometimes in business, you may have opportunities, and you may have things which are really not working the way you want. And that's also because there are some barriers or assumptions that you've made about yourself, about the situation, or about the opportunity. If you could take a moment to just look at the situation and write down or make a mental note, what is it that I am assuming will happen? What is it that I am afraid of doing, because I've already assumed that it may not go the way it is planned. So these are internal resistance that you build up over a period of time. Another one that really works well for me is, many times you look at fear, or you start having an attribution of fear in some form or the other. That if I do this, and then that may happen, and that may not happen, or the spiraling thoughts that start coming in. And so I'd rather not do it, right? How many? I can't see so many heads nodding. So it does resonate with you. And I'm wondering if you could just be mindfully conscious that this is happening to me, or it could be something that you can start observing, and then look at how could I turn this around, that if it does fail, what is it that I could do now so that it doesn't fail? What is it that I could do so that if it fails, then I have a backup? So there's so many other factors that can work simultaneously in you going ahead, right? I am just referring to some of the things that you guys said about starting your business and building it up, and being at a stage where you don't know what tagline you have to use. Yeah, would it be good if we work on some assumptions that you made there? If you look at why is it that you're finding it a little hesitation to build a tagline? Is it because you don't know what it is that you want? Perhaps if you just consider that I want this. So Grace is a schoolmate of mine. We went to, we did a course together, just remembered. So Grace, is it okay if we use your tagline, because I found that to be quite apt. So she's selling probiotics, and she talked about her tagline being,
what is your gut feeling today?
What's your gut feeling today? That is like, that's what she wants to say to people. And it does come across well, and it's syncing with her business, isn't it? Yes. So where else can you come from an inside out? What else can you do to bring yourself to a space where you are always looking at that big leader inside of you? Always looking at elevating your own strengths, what you have to offer to the world, and constantly building on the success that you can bring out and present to the world. So with that, I come to the end of what I had to share with you. Elevate the leader in you.